Hi, graduate students. Welcome to Psych 543, Evaluation and Treatment of Compulsive Disorders. I just wanted to take a minute to give you all a warm welcome and also introduce myself. My name is Dr. Erica Soto. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have a doctorate degree in clinical psychology and a pupil personnel services credential in school counseling. I currently do a lot of work with schools. I do a lot of clinical work with kiddos who have IEPs or are in special education. I also have a history of working in crisis and providing crisis intervention, as well as working in addiction and recovery, which is very relevant to this course. So originally, this course was a 16-week class, but things changed up a little bit. We're condensing it to 8 weeks, so it is like the class is on crack, pretty much. It's fast, for no pun intended. It's there's a lot to do, a lot of material, and it's going to fly by really quickly. So I want to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can to ensure your success and also guarantee that you guys leave this class with a solid foundation of addiction, recovery, relapse prevention strategies, and different types of addiction models and things like that. So I want to make sure that you're getting the support from me that you need. I am going to spend a few minutes on the syllabus. I'm not going to go into it in too much detail. Just I know you guys are perfectly capable of reading through it on your own. I just want to highlight some key things that a lot of students have questions on usually. But if you ever have questions, it's always on Blackboard. You could always just refer back to it if needed. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and highlight a few things. Okay. So, as I said, we have condensed this class from 16 weeks to 8 weeks. So I just want to let you guys know now, the lectures have been pre-recorded. So there might be a few lectures in there where I say welcome to week 3 when it's really week 1 or week 2. Don't get thrown off by that. It's just because we kind of rearranged things. So if I say that we're in a week that we're not really in, then it's okay. As long as it's under the right week, then they're all in the right places. So just a heads up for that. So this course is an intensive study of biopsychological mechanisms underlying compulsive behaviors. So we'll talk a lot about substance addictions as well as process addictions, which is gambling, sex, food addictions. A lot of times when we hear the term when we hear the term addiction, we think of substance abuse, right? I know my head certainly went there before I learned about all the different types of addictions that there really are. So we're really going to dig deeper into addictions that are not necessarily substance use and everything kind of that changes in the brain and that comes with addictions themselves, because they're very complex disorders and there's a lot of brain alterations that occur, and it's important to be cognizant of that. So this is a completely asynchronous course. We never have to meet face-to-face. It's fully online. I will have videos each week, whether they're lectures or me explaining assignments. So look out for those. And we consider our weeks to start Mondays and end Sundays. So I think that I'm a big fan of online classes. I think it's really wonderful that you have the opportunity to continue your education while also attending to your life and your families and your personal obligations. We do have deadlines in this class, of course, but you could always refer back to things. You could move ahead if you want. It's really, really flexible, which I like. So my contact information is here. The main hub for online and professional studies is in the Tyler Plaza Suite 200. But this semester, I'm all virtual. So technically my office hours are virtual, and I have blocked out 2 days, an hour each 2 windows of time each week where we can meet face-to-face if that's what you need for office hours. Sometimes students need that face-to-face interaction, or sometimes students find that it's just easier to talk face-to-face. I know I find a lot of value in face-to-face conversations, so I will always be available for that. If you are interested in that, just let me know, and I will make sure to schedule you, and we could meet up using Zoom, which is just a platform that I'm actually using right now. It's really simple. It's free. Or we don't have to meet face-to-face. If you just have questions or need to talk on the phone, that's perfectly fine too. My number is listed there as well as my email. I'm really, really quick usually with the emails. I will respond for sure no later than 24 hours, but usually it's a lot sooner than that. And a phone call, I probably won't answer right away because I see clients all day throughout the week, but I will return your call if you leave me a message. So we have 3 textbooks for this course. All are available at the on-campus bookstore or Amazon. They're great books, you guys. We're going to talk a lot about mindfulness as far as relapse prevention strategies. Mindfulness is huge in the clinical world now. It's getting a lot of attention and it's shown to be very effective. So we'll talk a lot about that. We'll talk about the foundations of addiction, how it starts, and also, like I said, about different types of addictions that we don't always hear about. So discussion boards, there will be 8 each week. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with these. With discussions, I want to go ahead and share something different with you. So I just kind of want to briefly touch on what's expected in discussion boards, netiquette in particular, just etiquette, but on the internet, right? So the rule of thumb really is if you wouldn't say it in class, then you probably shouldn't say it on the discussion boards either. Just be mindful of how you're responding, and you're absolutely free to express yourself here. I want my class to be, I always promote this in my classes. It's a safe place. You could say you have every right to speak your opinion, but just maintain respect and keep in mind the morale of your posts. I'm not worried about it. I know you guys are graduate students and you're probably very used to discussion boards, but just continue to be cognizant of things that you're contributing back. So you have a requirement to respond back to other students for discussion boards. And make sure, a lot of times I'll see someone respond and then another student respond with like the exact same thing. Just make sure you're reading it, because this should really be equivalent to a face-to-face discussion. So you wouldn't raise your hand and say the exact same thing that the student before you said. So just keep in mind that. The other thing I wanted to highlight is grammar and spelling. I know it's easy to kind of drift to using our text message lingo in discussion boards, especially if you're bouncing back ideas off one another, but all the grammatical rules in academia still apply to the discussion boards. So just be mindful of that. I'm not going to dock you for points as long as you're answering thoroughly and answering all of the questions. You don't have to don't feel like you have to write an essay. Sometimes students confuse quantity with quality. As long as you have a quality post, then you'll get full points. I would say I'm a pretty easy grader when it comes to discussion boards. As long as you're participating, you should be fine. But sometimes students feel like if they write more, then they will get more points. But it's all about really what you're writing, and just as long as you're thorough, you will be fine. Moving on to the process addiction presentation. This comes up very quickly. I believe this is due in your second week. So you will review a process addiction and present on it for 10 minutes. This is a great assignment, because if you weren't doing it, then we wouldn't have a lot of time to spend here otherwise. So We will all gain additional knowledge from your presentations. It will be about a 15-slide PowerPoint presentation, and you will post it in the discussion board so that all your classmates and myself can review it, just as we would do presentations in a face-to-face class. There's a culture and compulsive behavior paper. Culture is huge in the clinical world, and when we're working with clients. Culture affects a number of things. It plays a big role in a lot of things, and it can play a role in addiction and how someone responds to treatment. So make sure that you are looking for at least 4 peer-reviewed journal articles to support whatever you're claiming, and I think it'll be really interesting. I'm looking forward to reading these papers. And my favorite assignment in this class is the addiction group attendance reaction paper. So you will choose a meeting like Alcohol Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, there's an Overeating Anonymous, and you will actually attend a meeting. So they have open groups and they have closed groups. You will look for one that is an open group, and that is where any member is free to attend, whether you're an addict or not. And you'll just write about your experiences. I remember doing this assignment when I was in graduate school, and it was very powerful. It was very moving. I'll never forget it, and I think that you guys will really enjoy this experience, and also it will kind of enhance your perspective a little bit. So this is paper. It's all subjective. It's all about your experiences. I'm really looking forward to hearing about your guys' reactions. And then you have your capstone, which is the critical assignment, and this is an addictive behavior paper. You will pick an addiction and research evidence-based treatment approaches. Everything in this class will be APA. So if you need assistance with APA, I know sometimes it's hard to remember certain things. We have great resources under the Student Resources tab in Blackboard. And then you have your final exam, which consists of a vignette, and you will do a case conceptualization. As long as you're keeping up on the readings, as long as you're participating and asking questions, you will be just fine in this class. I guarantee that. Then we have, of course, the course breakdown, 1,000 points total. And then you have the kind of like the calendar when everything is due. You guys could take a look at that on your own. And expectations. I expect things to remain professional, but it is okay to get personal too. So I really want to promote in my classes a safe place. So in your discussion boards, I would really like you to introduce yourself, tell myself in the class what you're interested in doing, what population you're interested in working with. Maybe it's addictions. Maybe it has nothing to do with addictions. That's okay. Talk about what your fears are. So something that I wish I had more of in graduate school was a safe place to talk about my fears and my worries and things that I have questions about or things that I was scared about. Because entering the clinical world and actually being face-to-face with a client could get scary. And those feelings are completely valid. They're completely normal. I would be worried if someone wasn't having those types of feelings. So I want this to be a safe place where you could express that and not feel judged about it. And just, I want you to feel like it's a normal response, because it is. Of course, you do not have to share. You could always pass on that. I do also have a discussion thread that is geared just for your personal experiences. So becoming a therapist is an incredible experience, but you also have a lot of unexpected stuff come up, as I say, personal stuff that maybe you thought that you worked through, or maybe that you didn't know was there before. It requires you to really look inward sometimes. And sometimes we have reactions that aren't expected, and that's okay. But it's not okay if you are letting them affect you and not at least talking about them, whether it's with a personal support system, an outside therapist, a professor, classmates, because that's going to help you work through it. So I would love to be that person for you, but I also respect your privacy too. So if you don't want to share, that's absolutely fine. Just know that that's an option here. And I know that you also have expectations of me, and I take that very seriously. I want you guys to have the best experience as possible. So please let me know what your needs are, and I'll do my best to support them. Obviously, you have to, when you're in online classes, you have to keep up with the work. It goes by really quickly. Sometimes it's easy to lose track of things, and just make sure you're communicating in a timely manner. My late assignment policy. So it's really not customary to accept late assignments in graduate school. However, I understand that life happens and things come up, and then all of a sudden a deadline's missed and it was completely just flew by. I will accept late assignments 2 days after the due date. However, each day it's late, it will be reduced 10% of the original grade. So say you turn in a phenomenal paper, 100%. The first day it's late, that would drop to 90%. The second day, that would be an 80%. And unfortunately, 2 days after, I won't be able to accept the assignment. If it is an emergency that arises that prevents you from completing an assignment on time or your work on time, please let me know, and we will absolutely make the appropriate arrangements to make sure that you finish the class or do what you need to do. All late work will not be accepted, though, after the course end date, so make sure you're communicating with me, especially if emergency happens. That way we could figure out what's going to work best for you, okay? Academic honesty, I'm not worried about this. You know not to cheat. You know the consequences of plagiarism. Just make sure you're being honest and maintain integrity with your writing. And that's really all there is to say about that. There is also additional resources here that I will continue to add to as they come up, but these are good to have. And sometimes I'll post things that are optional. I'll always tell you when they're optional. And I just suggest, I know you have a ton on your plate and you don't have time for a lot of it, but just save it in the folder, because as training therapists, it's really important to kind of accumulate all the resources you can and build your resource library. I know that's really helped me, and as I go, I continue to build up my resource library. So I want to make sure that I'm sharing with you. So that was pretty much what I wanted to go over. I am looking forward to getting to know you guys. I'm really excited to read your introductions. Please reach out. Don't be a stranger. I want to be a support for you. I know how rigorous graduate school is. I remember, I've been there, but I remember really appreciating the teachers that most supported me. So I want to really do a good job and support you. Some students do better at kind of sticking back and just doing their own thing. Others need more hands-on approach, and that's okay. We all have different needs. So take care, and welcome back. Welcome to fall quarter, and I will see you in the next video.